Welcome to part 3 of our webinar series on value added. In order to fully understand the measurement system of value added, we have to look at two different things. First, we have to look at student growth versus student achievement, and then we have to look at actual growth of a student versus typical growth of a student. In terms of growth versus achievement, we have to understand that value added uses standardized tests in a non-standardized manner. If you look at this graph, under an achievement paradigm, you would want to be teaching the red student because red student is scoring higher. But it's not about what a school student is currently scoring or their achievement profile. What's important is how much they grow during the year. If I look at this graph and look between 3rd and 4th grade, I see that red student did not grow as much, and I see that blue student grew much more. So when I ask the question, who learned more, it would be the blue student, and that teacher would have a more positive ranking under a value-added measure because it's focused on growth. So if we use the previous year's score as a predictor variable for the current year, the previous year is where we start. We can think of it as a pre-test for the current school year. And then we're going to measure the growth during that school year, not merely a student's achievement. However, it's a little more complicated than that. We also have to look at expected growth. In terms of value added, we can use various environmental factors, mostly consisted of prior achievement, but also previous growth, socioeconomic status, and special education status, and we can make a prediction of where a student should be if they're exhibiting reasonable or typical growth, i.e. learning. If you look at this graph and you look to the right, you see that red student had a certain value predicted for their 6th grade growth that they failed to meet, and blue student had a certain value predicted that they actually exceeded. If a teacher causes students to mostly exceed their growth or their expected growth, then that teacher will have a highly effective teaching score. So just as a summary, it's not merely about achievement versus growth. It really gets into growth versus typical growth. And in our next video, we're going to talk about the exact ways and manners in which we set this expected or typical growth for each student.